If you're looking to do business in China, you've got to do a lot more than just start renting office space. Fortunately, Professor Jonathan Story has written a book called China Uncovered, which should at least tell us what the process is. Thank you for being with us, Professor.
Thank you very much.
What should you know besides China's a great market, good manufacturing place, before going into China? Or what should you think you don't know?
First of all, why go to China? There are lots of other places around the world, so why go to China? And then once you have made up your mind that actually relative to other points of the world, that's a good place to go, then where in China do you want to go? And once you've thought through where you might want to go in, what about asking, well, how do I deal with the government? The government is a party state, a communist party state, and many people say that no, it's not really. There are 70 million party members and they're not really deep believers, but they do speak to each other officially in Marxist-Leninist-Maoist terminology, and their structure is that of a Marxist-Leninist-Maoist state. So China is very, very formidable. But it is quite a difficult place to do business. It's not terribly difficult. Out of 175 countries, it's about number 91. If you look in the index of doing business in, which is provided by the World Bank, it's a good initial guide and provides sort of an assessment of what business people think is a important question, like, for instance, licensing or hiring and firing or winding down a business.
What is the purpose of your book, and why start with China?
That's a personal choice, actually. But from a viewpoint of a business person, I think it is the point that since 1997-98 and the Asian crash, China has become the key destiny for foreign direct investment, inward direct investment, and is a place where most CEOs think that they have to be. So I thought, well, let's go to China and learn about China. The counterpart to that is that the Chinese will have to learn everything about the rest of the world.
Do you think that they are?
Yes. But because that has to go in depth in a company, it's got to go right down from board level, right down to engineers and everybody, marketing people. For the Chinese, it will take a long time. In China, a very big problem is the scarcity of management talent, or relatively scarce talent for people who would be hard but as managerial positions in companies. So therefore it's a very tight market, and one of the problems, for instance, I pick up in the book is the big problem is retention. So how do you go around retention? And the answer to that one is money is not enough. What is very important is being a member of the family, the corporate family, and having a long-term perspective as an employee. In other words, actually, that a good manager can go right to the top, to the board of the company. So that means doing away with glass ceilings. And it means teaching people about communications worldwide. So Chinese managers have to go 2 or 3, 4, 5 years, whatever it is, to absorb the culture, let's say, of a Western company operating in India, in Europe, and in Australia. They have to become citizens of the world in order to join a global company, and that's what they would love to be.
In terms of other things you may have uncovered in China, corruption is something that probably you didn't have to dig very deep to find. What do you tell people about dealing with corruption?
Well, corruption, of course, is there. Formally, China is much less corrupt than India, for instance, and infinitely less corrupt than Russia and Nigeria. Probably the best advice is don't get involved in that, because if you do, you can get really deeply engaged. it means that you may have to forego some business. On the other hand, you'll get a good reputation for being a very good citizen, because formally the Chinese government is extremely strict about corruption. It has an anti-corruption drive which can lead to the death penalty.
That's pretty strict.
So it's pretty strict.
What are some, maybe you can name one or two big errors that you see Western companies getting into as they set up business in China?
One big problem would be local governments are out there scouting for inward direct investment, because local officials are paid according to the amount of jobs and the growth they stimulate. So they can provide you with all sorts of breaks, like free land. They can say, we'll waive any consideration of you having trade union or the official trade union on your books. We'll give you financial subsidies, etc. We'll be supportive of you on on patent problems, etc. Now, the location may not be the best one for you. It may be too far from your market. It may be not good for speed to market abroad. So my bottom line is, you go for China not for the country, but for business purposes.
So you don't get seduced by the freebies, in other words.
You try not to get seduced by the freebies, and you don't go there for China. You go there because it's a good business. So crafting your corporate policy to the local conditions is my universal message, but there are specific features of that in China which I hope my book elucidates.
It's out by Pearson's Publishing in November, and it's China Uncovered.
Yep.
Thank you very much,
Thank you
Jonathan
very much.
Story.
Thank you.